Hey everyone, this is the presentation that myself, Louie, Carrie, and Mary put together. We're going to talk about statistics that was used in one of the articles this week. So the article that we chose was preventing burnout and reducing stress by using evidence-based protocol. So very, very high level what this article was about. It was about a DNP student that was a clinician that wanted to decrease the burnout of new nurse practitioners in the field. And so what she did was that she made a program where taught things like meditation, breathing exercises, self-reflection, and with that ended up doing a pre and post survey to see if those interventions of kind of doing these mental health, self-healing things at work would reduce the amount of burnout in the workplace. That's high level of what this project was. So first of all, to discuss about descriptive statistics. Statistics they describe. You could say how many people were brunette, how many people were blonde, how many people had brown eyes. So that's basically what this type of statistics is. And in this article, one of the strengths is they did have a fair number of descriptive statistics. Here it is. They had the gender, the age, if they had children at home, the number of children living at home, their marital status, and if you've ever worked at the institution that they're currently at. Now, why is this kind of relevant to think about? Well, maybe people with children, with young children, maybe they have a higher burnout because they get tired at home. Maybe the age, if somebody is maybe really old, they're maybe getting tired and getting burned out possibly. Perhaps the marital status has an effect on their burnout rate. So these are all things which we could call confounding factors that the author doesn't take into account but does report them. So one of the weaknesses is that those descriptive factors, they're not necessarily adjusted for by using confounding factors. Now granted, our sample size is really small, which is also one of the weaknesses of this whole study. The other thing that's we kind of have issues with is 11 people started and only 9 finished. So 11 people actually did the pre-survey and only 9 went through the program and did the post-survey. And then there's no report out on the age and the age distribution, which I think could be important because, as I said, you might have different burnout rates based on your age. And there's also no report out on the children if children lived at home. I think those are also important confounding variables that were not taken into effect in the final statistics of things. Inferential statistics, that's how you could say, okay, was there a change? Were things different after the intervention? And there's tests to find that out, and you need to measure pre and post. So what this study did is it used, it's called a BAT assessment, which basically checked for each practitioner's level of engagement and happiness at their work, turn it into a Likert scale, and based on those numbers, the higher the number you got, it was 1 to 5, the more likely you would be having burnout. Now, with this is the distribution. So these are all the people. So here there is 11 people in this sample, and there is 9 people post-intervention. So, and this is the distribution of their score. Now remember, it could be anywhere from 1 to 5, where 1 means you're going to have, 5 means you're going to have more burnout, and 1 is you're less likely to burn out. And here is the frequency of responses from that test. And this is the pre, and you can see this is not like a normal bell curve distribution, right? And so when something's a normal bell curve distribution, to see if there's a difference between this and this, you would do what's called a t-test. But because these are, neither of them are normal distribution, you have to use this other kind of clever test, which we won't get into the math, but it's called the Wilcox sign rank test. And that's when you compare non-parametric statistics. Now, once again, that means 2 things that are not in a bell curve. That's what that means. And so they use this tool to see if there's statistical relevance. So I think that's good that they didn't just use the t-test, because you can't use the t-test in this sample. just by looking at this, you can't see, are they more or less likely to have burnout? It's hard to see. What they did do, they found out the average. So here the average was 2.6 on the burnout scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is you're going to burn out more. And here it's 2.2. So you could see that the average went from 2.6 to 2.2. So on average, that burnout rate, reduced. But is it statistically significant, or could it possibly have happened? Well, they did do the test, and they said that it was a statistically significant response. However, I'm still confused how they could have compared these two groups, since they didn't have the same number of participants. I thought for that test you would have to, but perhaps I'm wrong. And then, so that would be one of the weaknesses that we pointed out. And then also, burnout is a dependent variable, which could be viewed as a skewed variable of interest, lacking the assumption of normalcy, which is a weakness. The other question with this, the weakness of this study, is you can have statistical significance, but is it relevant? So in other words, the average of this burnout score went from 2.6 to 2.2, so that's a 0.4 difference, and it was statistically significant. But was it statistically relevant? Does that actually mean anything? And I think that leaves us to wonder if that actually did have an overall impact. And the other thing that's important about having a different number of participants in here is maybe the people that scored very high on a burnout thing, maybe these were the two people that left. So if those two people left, just by removing those two people, you would have a dramatic reduction in the score, and it has nothing to do with the intervention. It's just that the two worst people left. So those are some of the weaknesses, and hopefully those answers your questions. And here are the references, and I'll post